You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend? Lena blinked, the fork halfway to her mouth. She was in the middle of her favorite chocolate lava cake when he dropped the bomb. Across from her, Aiden Wolfe, 6 feet 2 inches of sculpted jawline, tailored suits, and old money confidence, looked completely serious. Yes, he said flatly. Just for a while. A few months, tops. Lena nearly choked. She had spent most of her college years trying not to be noticed by guys like Aiden. Handsome, rich, annoyingly self-assured. They belonged to a world of rooftop parties, private jets, and dating girls who looked like they walked off magazine covers. Girls like Lena, chubby, quiet, living on scholarships and part-time jobs, were background characters in their story. So how in the world had she ended up here? It started earlier that day when she accidentally spilled coffee all over a rare first edition book in the university library. Aiden's book. He'd glared at her like she'd murdered his pet. "I'll pay for the cleaning," she had stammered. "You can't just fix a 100-year-old leather cover with money," he snapped. "But maybe you can fix it another way." Which brought them to this moment. "You're blackmailing me into being your girlfriend?" she asked. Aiden sighed. "I'm not blackmailing you, I'm offering a deal. I need a girlfriend. A real one. Well, fake real. Convincing enough to fool my parents. They're flying in from Europe next week and trying to marry me off to some business partner's daughter. And you want me... Why?" Lena folded her arms, skeptical. "You're... normal. You're not the kind of girl they'd expect me to date. They'll think I've gone rogue. Maybe they'll back off, or at least delay the arranged marriage plan. You'd be doing both of us a favor." Lena frowned. "That's the worst compliment I've ever received." "I'm being honest," he said, unapologetic. "You're smart, no drama, and you don't fawn over me. I need someone who won't complicate things." Lena leaned back in her seat. "And in return, I'll pay you," he said. "And fix the book issue. And if anyone gives you trouble, I'll handle it." She stared at him for a long moment. It was ridiculous. But she needed money. Her mom's hospital bills had drained their savings. Rent was coming up. And part of her, the reckless part, was curious. "What are the rules?" she asked slowly. Aiden's eyes sparkled. "Rule 1. We act like a real couple. Hand-holding, dates, social media, whatever makes it believable. Rule 2. No falling in love." Lena raised a brow. "Trust me, that won't be a problem." "Good." He extended his hand. "Deal?" She hesitated, then shook it. "Deal." Lena never thought she'd find herself in a luxury penthouse, wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than her entire semester's tuition. But here she was, standing next to Aiden Wolfe, trying to look like the kind of girl who belonged in his world. The dress was part of the deal. "You need to look like someone I'd fall for," Aiden had said bluntly, handing her a garment bag. "Let me take care of the styling. Trust me." Trust him. Right. Now she was staring at her reflection in the gilded mirror of his walk-in closet, still the same Lena underneath, with her round cheeks and curves. But the makeup artist had worked. Magic and the dress hugged her in a way that made her feel, maybe not beautiful, but seen. "Stop fidgeting," Aiden said from behind her. She turned around and found him buttoning his cufflinks, sharp in a black-on-black suit. "You look terrifyingly rich," he smirked. "That's the idea. Ready to go?" Their destination, a charity gala hosted by Aiden's family. The perfect place to introduce his girlfriend. The car ride was quiet, except for the city lights blurring past the windows. "Remember the plan?" Aiden said. "Smile. Touch my arm sometimes. Laugh like I'm charming." "You want me to lie?" she teased. Yes. Convincingly. When they entered the ballroom, all eyes turned to them. Lena felt the weight of every stare, every curious whisper. Aiden leaned down and whispered, "Relax. They love a good scandal. Let's give them one." He laced his fingers with hers and pulled her close, guiding her through the crowd like they'd done this 100 times. People greeted them. Business partners, bored socialites, curious cousins. Aiden introduced Lena with practiced ease. "This is Lena," he said smoothly. "She's everything." And weirdly, he sounded sincere. Lena smiled and nodded, but inside, her heart pounded like she was walking a tightrope. Then came the real test, his mother. "Darling," said a tall, elegant woman with striking features and cold eyes. "Who's this?" Aiden's grip on Lena's hand tightened. "Mother, this is Lena, my girlfriend." Mrs. Wolfe's eyes flicked to Lena, scanning her from head to toe. Lena braced herself, but then the woman smiled. "Interesting choice." "Thank you?" Lena said uncertainly. "She doesn't care about approval," Aiden whispered later, as they sipped champagne by the balcony. "She just wants control. And does this fake relationship throw her off enough?" "I think so." They were quiet for a moment, watching the lights of the city below. Then Aiden said something unexpected. "You handled that well tonight." Lena looked up. "Thanks. I didn't trip or spill wine on anyone, so I'll count that as a win." He chuckled, and it was the first time she'd seen a genuine smile from him. "Most people try too hard. You just were yourself." Lena blinked. Was that a compliment? Maybe. And for a moment, standing under the stars with the man she was pretending to date, Lena forgot that it was all fake. The fake dating game continued. From brunches, at 5-star hotels to cozy couple selfies for Instagram, Aiden and Lena played their roles well, maybe too well. What started as awkward hand-holding turned into casual touches that lingered longer than necessary. His arm around her shoulder felt less staged. Her laugh around him came easier. And then there were the looks, stolen glances, lingering, stares when the other wasn't looking. Lena kept telling herself, "It's all for show." But something deep in her chest said otherwise. The shift became undeniable one afternoon at the university courtyard. They were pretending to study under a tree, surrounded by books, when a tall, graceful girl with flowing brunette hair walked by and stopped. "Hi, Aiden," the girl said, her voice syrupy sweet. Lena tensed. Aiden barely looked up. Cassandra blinked at Lena. "And this is?" "My girlfriend," Aiden replied, pulling Lena just a bit closer. Lena offered a polite smile, but Cassandra wasn't done. "Oh, didn't expect you to go for someone so real," she said, her eyes flicking toward Lena's figure. "Refreshing." The insult was paper thin. Lena stiffened. Aiden didn't hesitate. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" he said coolly. "And smarter than anyone in this room, too." Cassandra blinked, thrown off, and walked away with a forced laugh. When she was gone, Lena stared at Aiden. "You didn't have to say that." "I wanted to." Silence stretched between them. Then suddenly Aiden said, "Do you ever think we're doing this too well?" Lena's heart skipped. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I don't feel like I'm pretending anymore. And that wasn't part of the deal." She swallowed. "Neither was defending me like that." He looked at her. Really looked at her. "I don't like the way people talk to you. No one ever stands up for me. I will." And that's when it happened. A moment too full, too close. The air thickened as he leaned in. slowly, like he was giving her time to back away. She didn't. Their lips met, soft, hesitant, but undeniably real. When they pulled back, both looked, startled, like they'd crossed a line they hadn't even realized was there. Was that part of the act? She asked. 3 days passed since the kiss. Neither of them talked about it. Lena went back to her quiet routines, studying, working, pretending she didn't replay the moment 1,000 times in her head. Meanwhile, Aiden acted as if nothing had happened. Or at least he tried to. But the space between them was tighter now, loaded. Words hung in the air, unspoken, until everything broke. It happened at yet another fundraiser. Another stage for them to perform. This time, Lena wore a deep red dress. Aiden hadn't said a word when he picked her up, but his eyes lingered a moment too long. He looked like he wanted to say something, but didn't. The night dragged on, filled with clinking champagne glasses and fake laughter. Then she saw them, Aiden's parents. And standing beside them was a stunning girl in a navy blue gown, clearly their idea of suitable. "Here we go," Aiden muttered, guiding Lena forward. "Darling," his mother cooed. "You remember Juliet, don't you?" Juliet smiled at Aiden, then turned to Lena like she wasn't even a person. "I heard your relationship started very suddenly," she said, each word laced with suspicion. Lena's stomach tightened. "She's the real deal," Aiden said firmly. But Juliet didn't back off. "Oh? Because a friend of mine said she saw your girlfriend working in the campus library, cleaning up coffee spills and reshelving books." His mother raised an eyebrow. "Is that true, Aiden?" Lena's cheeks flushed hot. The humiliation stung sharper than anything before. He hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. Lena turned away. She could hear voices behind her. Aiden's, his mother's. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. She rushed outside into the cold night air, heels clicking angrily on stone. "Lena, wait!" Aiden's voice followed her. She spun around. "So I'm just the girl you hired to act like she belongs, right? Just a body to keep your parents off your back?" "No, it's not like that." "Then what is it, Aiden?" Her voice cracked. "Because you kissed me. You looked at me like I mattered, but the second they called you out, you froze." He looked stricken. "I didn't freeze because I was ashamed of you." "Then why?" "Because I realized I wasn't pretending anymore. And that terrified me." Lena stared at him, breath catching. "You don't get to be scared," she whispered. "Not when I was the one who risked everything." And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving him in the cold, standing in a suit that suddenly felt 2 sizes too tight. Aiden didn't sleep that night. He kept replaying her words, her face, the way she walked away like she was done for good. For a man who always had control of deals, of people, of outcomes, this feeling was foreign and unbearable. He thought of how easily he had drawn up the rules. No falling in love. Keep it simple. Keep it clean. But nothing about this felt clean anymore. It felt messy. Real. The next morning, he skipped his usual meetings and instead found himself standing in front of the campus library, holding a coffee cup and a white paper bag. Lena walked out, headphones in, arms full of textbooks. She nearly dropped them when she saw him. "I brought your favorite," he said quietly, holding out the bag. "Chocolate croissant and a peppermint latte. You always get that when you're stressed." Her arms tightened around the books. "What do you want, Aiden?" 5 minutes. She didn't answer, just turned and walked toward the quad. He followed. They sat on a quiet bench under an old oak tree. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Aiden broke the silence. "I messed up. I hesitated in front of them. Not because I was embarrassed of you, but because for the first time, I didn't know what was real anymore." Lena looked down, lips pressed together. "I thought I could fake this," he continued, "that I could use you and walk away untouched. But then I saw you, how strong you were, how smart, how you handled everything with grace. And suddenly, you weren't part of a plan anymore. You were everything." She let out a shaky breath. "You made me feel like I mattered," she whispered. "But I always knew I didn't belong in your world." He reached for her hand. "Then I'll leave that world behind," she blinked. "I've spent my whole life doing what was expected, being who they wanted me to be. This, what we had, it was the only thing that ever felt mine, and I won't let it go." Tears welled in her eyes. "Why now?" she asked. "Because I love you," he said. "I didn't plan on it. I didn't even want it. But it happened, and now I don't want to pretend anymore." Silence. Then slowly, Lena reached for the croissant bag, tore it open, and took a bite. "I've been craving this all morning," she said. He laughed. A real, breathless laugh. She looked at him, smiling through misty eyes. "I'm not forgiving you just yet," she said. "But this is a good start." He leaned closer. "Can I kiss you?" "Only if you promise it's not fake." It never was. And as their lips met again, this time with no audience, no rules, no pretending, it was clear. The contract was over. But love had just begun. 6 months later, the world hadn't ended when Aiden Wolfe walked away from his parents' carefully arranged future. No boardroom collapsed. No fortune vanished. But for the first time, Aiden finally felt rich in a way that couldn't be measured. He now shared a modest apartment near campus with Lena, who insisted they split the rent equally, even though he offered to cover everything. "If we're real," she said. "We build real things together," and they did. Mornings were filled with sleepy kisses and rushed coffee. Afternoons were study breaks and stolen moments in the university library. Nights were spent tangled in laughter, old movies, and dreams about a future where love wasn't a contract, but a choice they made every day. They still fought sometimes. She hated how he left dishes in the sink. He grumbled when she stole the blanket at night. But they always circled back, always chose each other again. One evening, as they walked hand in hand through the park, Aiden paused under a string of fairy lights and turned to her. "I never wrote a new contract," he said softly. Lena raised an eyebrow. "We don't need one." "I know. But if I did, it would say, no end date, no conditions, just you, always." She smiled, her heart swelling. "Then I'd sign it." And there, surrounded by quiet city lights and the whisper of leaves above them, two people, who once started as a lie, sealed a forever that was as real as it gets.